Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, star maker for entrepreneurs who want to unlock their potential, command any stage, and make blockbuster profits. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a brand that makes you happy and profitable. Here we go.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, and welcome to this episode of Thrive, How to Create a Highly Visible Brand with my guest, Joey Garrity. Joey Garrity is the owner of 113 Branding, where she's a brand strategist and a marketing expert. She's also the author of a new book called The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence, where she shares over 15 years of Hollywood experience to guide entrepreneurs to create their own business visibility and influence with their brands. On this episode, Joey shares with us what it really takes to build influence. And it's probably not what you think. It has a lot more to do with building connection and creating a tribe that supports each other. We have a really great conversation about people who are maybe shy and don't feel comfortable stepping into the spotlight and how they can build their visibility. And Joey also shares with us her love of shining the spotlight on others and really how she wants to change the whole coaching industry from the pitch fest upsell to more authenticity and giving true value so that we can all rise together. Joey is a generous soul, and I cannot wait for you to hear this interview. If you want to be a star in your industry, you're not going to want to miss it. I hope you enjoy the show. Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, and welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a brand that makes you happy and profitable. You're in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And I'm so excited to have my guest here today, Joey Garrity. Joey Garrity is the founder of 113 Branding and is a brand strategist, marketer, speaker, and an author. She worked in the Hollywood entertainment industry for over 15 years at top companies such as the Walt Disney Company and Sony Pictures in television, film, original web content, and in branded entertainment. After returning to the Bay Area, Joey was inspired to launch 113 Branding. She integrates strategic branding and marketing vision with both the creative and the business sides of the entertainment industry. Her techniques and strategies help entrepreneurs globally become more visible, influential, and successful. And Joey recently launched her new book, The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence. And I cannot wait to hear more about that. Welcome, Joey. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Heather. I appreciate it.
So, Joey, did I say 113 right? And then as soon as I said it,
you did.
oh, good. Okay,
right.
good.
Yeah.
I had a moment of, did I do it right? So I'm so excited that we're here and we're talking to each other again. It's really, I'm so excited. You have this new book that's come out, and I want to hear all about that. So for those of our audience that don't know you, can you say a little bit more about who you are and what you do at 113 Branding and what you're up to?
Sure. So I'm all about visibility and influence. So I help entrepreneurs globally get more visibility and influence because it's directly impacts their earning power. Mm-hmm. And I use strategies and techniques that I learned in Hollywood. Many of them I put heart-based to them, and I redeveloped them out, for instance, spotlighting other brands, and the spotlight will shine back on you, etc. Mm-hmm. And so I put a lot of those strategies and those tips and those techniques into my book. So it's been quite a whirlwind this month of May. I launched a book called The Red Carpet to Visibility and Influence. Mm-hmm. I did my first solo event here in the Bay Area, and people flew in from all over for it. And then I launched the book that day as well. So it's been a really incredible month.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about the book. Why did you write this book?
Sure. I wrote the book because I wanted to share my VIP program with everyone globally, so that they didn't have to just work with me. So I literally dropped the strategies and techniques into the book, but it's a guidebook. And I wanted it to be so that it'd be more interactive for the reader. And so there's sections where they can write in their unique point of views, mm-hmm. and how they're feeling about their brand based on my shares. because I don't believe in one size fits all. That's impossible, especially with branding. But I do believe it's about emotionally connecting in the marketplace. And it's about getting really visible. And I know that it's not easy breezy for people to get visible. And because that people ask me all the time, well, how do you do it? And how do you get visible? And how do you get more influence? And I'm like, listen, I put it all into a guidebook. And
read the book.
You can just, it's really just this A to Z. And then along the lines, I also put in tips, but I also shared Hollywood diaries. So Hollywood insights from being an insider and what I learned down there and what I want to share with people out there that they can take away from it as well.
Yeah, awesome. So what did you learn? Can you share some of the things that you did learn in the film industry and how that applies to entrepreneurship and how we can integrate that into our brands to really amp up the volume?
Sure. So one particular lesson I learned early on is the power of yes. I was being asked to, go to the Cannes Film Festival and step into particular positionings like, being a script development girl and I didn't have the chops yet. I didn't have the expertise, but I jumped off the cliff anyways. I'm a huge believer in saying yes and then really, really learning and perfecting the art and the field by learning from mentors and strategies and techniques and tools. But because I learned the power of yes so young, it helped me to continue to learn to always, as an entrepreneur, to jump off cliffs. So when I decided to do my first solo event around branding, marketing, and influence in May, 6 weeks before, I had a very dear friend of mine who started a publishing division, Sheila Kennedy, the Zebra Ink, and she called me. She says, I'm launching my publishing division. I was like, you know what? Why don't I launch my first book at my event? And she's like, but your event's 6 weeks away. And I was like, and she said yes. And I was just like, let's go for it. Because as an entrepreneur, we need to always be pushing our boundaries and stretching. And why not take that opportunity? I mean, I'm going to have all these influencers in a room to launch a book. And so we did.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's Grant Cardone. He talks about the fact that first you commit and then you figure it out. You don't figure it out and then you commit. Because if you really commit yourself and you're a person of integrity, you will figure it out. And having that extra pressure of like, I've committed to this makes you dig deeper than you would if you started by saying, I think I want to do this, but I'm going to figure out all these pieces first and then I'll commit. So I love that you're kind of living example of that. Working successfully.
And it absolutely works. Again, I do just want to make sure that that I share this point as well, is that I have an incredible team around me. I don't believe in lone wolf mentality, and I honestly don't believe that you'll have a thriving business that way. And so I have an incredible team around me, and because of that team, I'm able to commit bigger and bigger and bigger because I know that I can lean on the team. And then also I have an incredible tribe. So when I had to find my second win, Heather, because, I'm like planning this event and and I have all these deadlines around, by the way, no one can tell you how hard it is to publish a book till you do it. It's a huge commitment because you have so many deadlines to meet.
How long did it take you from inception to publishing to finish?
6 weeks.
Oh, total. Wow.
Yeah, a
That's
total of
awesome.
6 weeks. But I had, like I said, I have an incredible team. I had an incredible interior designer for the book, Michelle Radomonsky. I have Sheila Kennedy, the publisher. I had Heather Robinson to do the cover. She does all my design work. So I had this incredible team in place already, but you also have to dig in and find your second wind. And that's another valuable one that I learned in Hollywood. When we were on sets, we'd work for sometimes 16 to 18 hours a day, 3 months in a row. And there was, by the third act, which we call the third month, you had to find your second win. And I had a tribe out there that I literally leaned on, and I called out on Facebook and I said, guys, I'm starting to lose steam and some hope here. Will you help me?
And so what was the response and how did it help you?
Well, first of all, everyone showed up.
I think I remember that post. Yeah, you probably
showed up for me, Heather. Thank
I
you.
probably said, go.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just incredible. And Chris Stock, who's become a very dear friend of mine, he shared a story about him biking through the Himalayas and how he just knew he had to get to the next village. He just knew he had to get to the next village. And that story really elevated me. And I was like, all right, Chris, all right, tribe, thank you so much. And boom, I got my wind again. I got my second wind. And I was able to keep pushing through. And that was it.
That's cool.
It's
I love that story
community.
too. Yeah, and it's community, and I like it that you have the big vision, which is the book or the movie or the baby or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So you have that big vision, but the steps that you take are to the next village. It's not, right? It's not to the river at the end of the
Yes.
trail. It's, I just need to bike to the next village. I just need to write that next chapter, and stopping along the way to say, okay, now I need to drink water. I need to hook up with the villagers and refuel, right? So
It was, it's so interesting how we all really are impacting one another. And the reason that I feel that the spotlighting other people is so important is because I don't think any of us on earth literally know what kind of impact we're making on each other, right? Because we're not sharing it a lot, right? But when we spotlight other people, and it was so important on stage, I spotlighted Chris, who was in the audience, because I told him, I said, you reminded me, it's not about getting to the river. It's not about getting to the tip of the mountaintop, right? Because you can only be up there for a couple minutes anyways. I mean, honestly, right? It really is about getting to the next village. And then he shared with all of us how, as he rode through each village, how all the kids of from the village would run beside him as he was biking through. And I was like, isn't that what community and tribe's all about in our team? Like all of them were literally like they were literally running next to me while I was biking. I was just like huffing and puffing to get to the next village. It's so true.
But you know what else is cool about that story, and also about what you're doing, is that it's a symbiotic relationship also between people helping you and the villagers, cheering him on his bike, but also being the leader.
Yes.
And giving that inspiration, riding through the village on your bike, or stepping up and saying, no, man, I'm going to do this book and I'm going to launch it in 6 weeks. Help me out. But everybody's like, yes, because your victory, your success is enabling for other people to say, I can do that too, or maybe I could do that too, or what could I do in that way? So, really want to acknowledge you for doing that as well, and giving that inspiration. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that, and also doing the solo event, which was just a huge success. I mean, mind blowing.
So tell me about the event. Tell me about the event.
I really wanted to bring, the intention around my events is to bring people in to create deeper relationships with each other. And then share these strategies. Like, I just leave it on the stage, Heather. I don't believe in this like slicing things out and, I'll tell you a little bit this so that you'll work with me and then you have to upsell. I hate all that. Like, I'm so against upselling. I am the poster child against upselling. So, and I don't care. And the thing about it is that the amount of love and influence that came in that room was incredible. And what it really does is it elevates all of us together. So I know that there were endless lifelong relationships that were built in a day and a half. It just takes a day and a half. That's all it takes. It's about the intention that I was setting. I told everyone, I said, come to this event. I promise you, this is not about 113 branding. This is about us as a community and as a tribe and us all leveraging together. And because so many people are influencers in my tribe and that I run with, they were just posting and tagging and spotlighting and talking about each other. And that's how you're going to build your brand and your influence. You got to get out of your own backyards. So when people flew in from all over the United States, what was it doing for each other? They were introducing each other to other tribes that never heard about each other yet.
Yeah, that's what
they did.
Yeah, and that's one thing I talk about when I'm talking to people about really owning their power and if they want to step up and be a leader and be seen in their industry, is that sometimes you have to, exactly what you just said. Sometimes you have to get on a plane. You have to, you might have to put, time, treasure, energy into doing something that you wouldn't normally do, because if you want that, you have to surround yourself with that energy and other people that are also lifting each other up in that way. It's like as you evolve, you don't go in a circle, you go in a spiral. And if you keep going in a
Yes.
circle and, circling around the track in the same way, with the same energy, with the same, possibly with the same people, depending if they're elevating or not as well. But you want to keep spiraling up. And sometimes that takes more energy and investment than you might think. Just like
Oh,
when you said,
it
when you're
absolutely
writing your
is.
book, like, if I had known, when I
I know, if
started
I
the
only
book.
knew. I know, if I only knew. I have a saying, 113 branding saying, that is, only together can we soar higher and higher. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that on such a deep level. I was a lone wolf for many years because I had a family tragedy happen. And
Mm-hmm.
and I just went into the shadows, and I got so fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I was able to get back into tribe, and someone, and a particular mentor came to me, Cheryl Calhoun, and she pulled me up. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is what it's about. And only together are we going to thrive, both in our personal and our professional life. You
Yeah.
cannot do it on your own. And this ideal of leaders out there who are on stage, and it's just like it's all about them. They're
Mm-hmm.
like the me, me, me. Oh, me, this is my event, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in that. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's got to be a we, and it's our event. And quite frankly, Heather, I wouldn't have had an event if people didn't come to support me, and vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Right.
doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was just watching a TED talk about a 75-year-old Harvard study about longevity and happiness. And it was 75 years long. So they followed thousands of men, like until they're into their 90s, and they were trying to figure out the factors that made people live longer, happier, healthier. And the number one thing, that it didn't matter what your cholesterol numbers were or anything else, was your level of connection.
Mm,
And it
yes.
was all about the relationships. And the other thing that they talked about, not just that you had relationships, but the quality of the relationships. And it wasn't that you didn't ever bicker or whatever with your wife or your friends, but when the chips were down, if someone had your back, if you knew that someone would have your back. And I love that, because it's reminding me of what you're saying now too. It's that you really feel like you've got each other's back. And it also reminds me of the whole tribe. It's funny that we use that word. Sometimes people get kind of like, it's such a, jargon word to have tribe, but it's really not. It's really a human word to have a tribe, and it really is how people survived for a long time with their tribes.
I mean, we could call it community if that makes people feel better. But I mean, to me, that's why I refer to everyone as sisters and brothers, because I really feel that we are family
Mm-hmm.
extensions of one another. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is a big part of my brand, is I call everyone sisters and brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so now a lot of people are calling they're calling other people sisters and brothers. And
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I like this idea of us just saying, listen, we're not going to always get along, right? Because we're family, right? So
Mm.
you're gonna have to have some crucial conversations, but at the end of the day, we've got each other's back.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
So talk to us a little bit more about that whole piece of building influence, because you were talking about having influencers at your event, big
Yeah.
influencers. So how did they get their influence? And then how do you leverage that? How do you do it in an organic, authentic way? How do you leverage your own influence so you get more visibility? So how can the average sister or brother out there who's hustling do that? What are some ways they can do that?
Sure. So a big part of strategies is about organically sharing about what is happening in regards to your brand, but never selling, right? So, for instance, if I have a keynote coming up, which I do, or a workshop coming up, I'll share a flyer a couple weeks before. It's something I learned in Hollywood, which people, when I got back to the Bay Area, were like, well, that's bragging. And I was like, well, bravo to Hollywood then. That's celebrating. How are people supposed to know about my keynote or my workshop if I don't share it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help to share after the fact. I see this a lot. So I'm like, no, at that point it's over, right? The energy,
Yeah.
it's all over, right? But
Yeah.
instead you want to be sharing all the way up like it's a premiere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh,
And
I love that.
and the other thing too is, like, at events, for instance, Instead of having swag bags and the swag inside the bags, we lay the swag out on tables so that we can take pictures and tag, but everyone could be looking at each other's products and services and having real conversations around it. Another technique too is, I noticed this with events as well, is that people have photographers and then days later they're posting images, and I said, why? It's over. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be posting as the moment and tagging as the event is happening so that people online are in the room with you, that they're feeling this with you, because it
Yeah.
really is all about emotional connection. And so
And
we
also,
want to do it in real time.
yeah, and also I love what you're saying because I did a beauty boot camp a couple of months ago, and it was so much fun. It was a blast. I think you saw some of the
Oh, I
pictures
loved
from
it.
that.
Yeah, I loved
So
it.
much fun, and we did some Facebook Live chatting with the photographer, but it's not just about the energy for the people coming in. It's your energy as it's happening. Like you're totally jacked up because you're at the event and you're surrounded by the people, and so that energy has to read across the platform as well. And if it's over, I mean, I don't, I think that there is some value to talking about something after it's over,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not, but it's not the same. It's not the same energy, like you said, as when it's happening. It's like live versus recorded, right?
Yeah, I mean, and again, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm going to be repurposing many of the images and the
Mm-hmm.
content from the event itself, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
want a long tail in
Right.
everything we're doing. But to me, this is why when I work with clients, I ask them, I'm like, as you're sharing out there, watch the signals you're putting out in the marketplace. Because if you're just had a fight with your husband, or you're not in a good mood, I prefer
Mm-hmm.
you not to share,
Mm-hmm.
because the signal you're putting out is, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, so I have a couple different strategies I do immediately the minute I wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning. Is I meditate
Mm-hmm.
right away, because I have to show it for me first to be a we all day long, right? I
Yep.
do
Mm-hmm.
mirror work, Lisa
Mm-hmm.
Lamont's mirror work, Mirror Love. I do that
Mm-hmm.
right away. It's been such a game changer for me. And I listen to music. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to my favorite songs because it pumps me up. Like right
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm totally into Usher right now and Justin Timberlake.
Oh, Justin Timberlake never gets old.
I
He
know,
could be
isn't he
90.
just? And he's
Oh,
just
he's
hot.
yummy. Oh my God. Love him.
We just love him. But I listen to music right away, so
Mhm.
I'm already in my head. I have a signal that I'm
Right.
sending out, and then I show up, and my
Mm-hmm.
vibration's really high. And then there's a step further too. It's something that I work with my clients called song and verses, and I have a song, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
song that I'm singing 7 days a week, all day and all night, and it's a visibility and influence song,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So
So
how does
because
that song go?
it go, it's like get visible. Visibility and influence is directly linked to your earning power. Get out of
Mm-hmm.
the shadows, step into the
Mm-hmm.
light. It's your birthright to shine bright and stand in your spotlight. That is the
I
song that I'm singing.
That's awesome. I always one of my catchphrases that I always say is you don't get paid to sing in the shower, not unless you have a really big shower and you're comfortable singing naked. So, not that I judge, but
Exactly. I mean, how are, I'll have entrepreneurs come to me and say, why isn't my business working? I'm like, because no one knows about it. They
Mm.
don't know about you. You're not three-dimensional. You're just like
What does that mean to be three
selling.
dimensional? What does it
It
mean to be
means
three dimensional.
it means to allow people to get to know you, to
Mm-hmm.
emotionally connect. Let them know about your hobbies. Let them know about what you're into. I'm into meditation. I love to go to golf tournaments. I love tennis. I love tribe. I love self-development. There's
Mm-hmm.
all these layers to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm sharing those layers out there, and also too, I share too when I also share about the ups and the downs. I want people
Yes.
to know it's not easy for me to be visible. That actually it's a daily, it takes me daily inner game strength for me to be visible.
Are you an introvert? Do you think you're an introvert?
No, I'm not. No, actually, I think I'm quite of an extrovert bit I had, because I had some, um, because of my brother's passing.
Mm.
several years ago, it really impacted me. And also because I worked in Hollywood for so many years, Hollywood's very critical.
Mm.
I mean, don't make a mistake. There's someone waiting for your job. Don't ever drop that ball. Oh, that was great that you just did that, but what are you going to do next?
Mm.
And so I've had to revamp these stories for myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to celebrate. I have to celebrate now, right? So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
celebrating my book, where before my old story had been like, well, that's great, you did a book, but what are you going to do now? What's next?
Mm.
Right?
Doesn't it make you wonder who Hollywood's mom and dad were? Who were Hollywood's mom and dad, right? I mean, because that's a voice that is passed down through people. It's like a culture there. I mean, every place has its culture. You might have a
Yeah.
business culture where you work, and you might have a tribe culture, where your tribe is. But it's also something to pay attention to. What culture? I just interviewed someone a while back who was a feng shui expert, and she was talking about how important your environment is for your brand. Not only for you to create an environment that reflects what you feel inside, but also
Mm-hmm.
that the environment um, um, influences how you feel inside, how that actually helps you understand yourself. And if you have a toxic environment, that it really can erode your brand because it's not aligning with who you are. So I think that's just another layer to being authentic and in branding. So.
Yeah, well, the studio systems are just corporations. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, it's just glamorous corporations, really, and I
mm-hmm,
talk about this in my book. I talk about how we become dependent and we become in service to the bigger systems. And I don't, and I tell people, hey, if you're working for a big corp, bravo, but still have your own personal professional brand and
mm-hmm,
be of service. So
mm-hmm,
that way you have leverage.
mm-hmm.
Right? What
Well,
if
and also,
someday it closes? What if someday, God forbid, one of the studios or Zappos closes, let's just say, and all these people are out of work, right?
mm-hmm,
Those brands have been handing them billions of dollars worth of influence. But if you're building your
mm-hmm.
own influence, then you'll be able to stand on your own 2 feet and you'll be able to keep in forward motion.
So how would you inside another brand, like say you're a realtor,
Mm-hmm.
someone how would you say build your own influence inside another brand?
By building community and building tribe and building an awareness about you, especially online, which is our new small towns. We're all having coffee
Mm-hmm,
together every morning,
mm-hmm,
and building it that way. Building it so you have a presence. So telling people about your latest sale and about how three-dimensional you are and how excited you are about clients, spotlighting your clients and spotlighting the brand itself, because what it does is it gives you leverage, it gives you influence, but also too being of service and watching the in-service model, which is the way that the systems are built right now. It really makes
mm-hmm,
us quite dependent. That's why a lot of
mm-hmm,
entrepreneurs, when they start off, they're like, how do I start? Well, yeah, because I was handed systems my whole life. High
mm-hmm.
school, college, corporations, right? They hand you
And I also
systems.
Right. And I also think when you're starting out as an entrepreneur and building your brand, especially if you've worked for somebody else, you haven't really thought about, most people haven't thought about what they really believe,
Yeah,
what they're all about,
yeah.
why they're here, what they do want to say. And I've seen that with people that it sometimes takes a while because they're not used to exercising that muscle. They don't even know. They don't know that voice in their head because they're not very familiar with it yet. So how do you talk to people about strengthening that muscle of becoming aware of what your platform is and what you have to say?
Well, there's a couple different layers to this. The first thing is if they've just come out of a corporation, I let people know that you're detoxing. It takes a minute to
Mm,
detox because you've been in service for a very, very long period of time.
mm-hmm,
Systems, influence, it's all been there for you. So
right.
to be kind to yourself through the process. But then when you start, when you're in of service component, that you really want to work on your inner game, because your inner game is going to give you the strength, because visibility is just, and influence is really becoming a superstar. It's really about fame. And,
Mm-hmm,
and as you step into bigger and bigger vessels of visibility and influence, you're going to have to lean on that inner game more and more and more. Because Heather, what happens with visibility and influence is that you start getting love notes. I call them love notes. And
I think I think I know where you're going with this.
It's just like all of a sudden you're just like, all this love starts just like coming at you, like you're like, people are commenting and liking and sharing and talking about you and sending you presents, and you walk into a room and they're just like, oh my God, I know you, and they're hugging you, and it's crazy at first because we're not used to all this love, right? But you get accustomed to it, and this is a way how we're opening doors for others to accept love notes. But you got to step out of the shadows to open those doors for others. It's actually being of service. Being visible and growing your influence is being of service to others in community globally, because you're opening the door for them to do the same.
So what would you say to the person who says, man, Joey, I would love to do that, but I'm really shy. I'm an introvert. I don't want, people have said, I'm an opera singer. I'm used to being in the spotlight. And people have said, I'm not an opera singer. I'm an introvert. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't feel comfortable with that. How do you help them so that they can own their own spot on stage and grow their business and their influence in a way that feels good to them?
Basically, well, what I start with is their song and verses, because there's a song and a purpose of why people are doing what they're doing. But here's the best next piece that they love is that I do the marketing campaigns for them and on their behalf. But but the reason I do it at first is so that they can step into it. So they can build their confidence through it, and then they're able to take it over, and they're like, oh, it's like riding a bike. I'm like, yeah, you're just building a muscle. That's all it is. It gets easier and easier and easier, and there's a point where they'll never remember how difficult it felt or uncomfortable in the front end. Instead, it gets very addictive, right? Because as you get used to love, right? The love notes and the influence and all the opportunities that are coming to you with your business, right? And it starts thriving. You just want more of that, because that's really what we're here for. That's really our purpose.
Right. Yeah. And it also allows for connection.
Yes.
And we just talked about that. Connection is the most important thing. So, but it's interesting to challenge that muscle as well. I mean, there's the whole school of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
And, I knew someone a while back who needed some work in that area, and they were very germophobic, and their job was to eat an M&M off the floor. Right?
That would be hard for them. Yes.
Yeah. Right. But I suppose it could become dangerous in the other area if it becomes addictive, and then you're eating M&Ms off the floor all the time. But it's the same concept of challenging that fear so that you can have what you really want. Right?
Yes, the purpose. Yeah, exactly. We are literally, it is our birthright to shine bright. It really is. That is why we're here.
But I also think it's important to have people, I love what you said about holding the space for them and creating the campaigns for them to step into, because we all have filters. We all have things we've bumped up against in life that have knocked us down, and maybe our light got a little dimmed on this side or dinged on that side. And to have someone say, no, it's okay. I'm here. I've got your back. We just talked about that. I've got your back. I'm here to lift you up and support you. And then when you need it and you're doing a book launch, then people are there for you too. But I think it's very important to have people who, on that spiral path, we're all going around, but maybe you're one layer higher and you're reaching back to help someone else up the mountain.
Yeah. It's incredible when I develop out the campaign based on their song and verses. Okay. And I develop it out and I lay it out and I show it to them. It's absolutely the best feeling, because it's a mirror of what the brilliance I see of them. And a lot of times the client at first, they're taken back because they're like, wow, that is me. And then they lean into it. They lean forward and they're like, that is me.
Right. Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the show. There's still more great content to come, but I wanted to take just a minute to talk to you about a new course I've created called Close Any Room. You may have noticed that all of my guests know how to speak about their businesses in a clear and compelling way. But that's something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and it's something you need to know how to do so you can convert your audience into more sales. And that's why I've created this course. It's a 6-week audio course to teach you how to craft a signature talk so that you can authentically give value and close more of your audience from the stage. In the class, you learn how to create a clear and compelling point of view, how to organize your content and give great value to your audience without giving away the farm, how to structure your talk so that it seamlessly closes your audience at the end without feeling salesy. And I also give you templates and instructions how to create marketing materials, a speaker sheet, and all kinds of sign-up sheets when you're giving your talks. And finally, what everybody's hot to know, I also give you tips and resources on how to find speaking gigs. It's an all-inclusive course so that you can start closing and selling more from the stage. And as my free gift to you for tuning into the podcast, I'm giving you my free webinar, also called Close Any Room, and you can listen to it at clearvoicebranding.com/close-any-room. And it will give you lots of tips and information to get you started on how to create that signature talk that sells. Okay, we're going to get back to the show now. There's still more great content to come. Thanks for joining me. So what is the verse? You were talking about the song.
Yes.
What's the verse?
Yeah, every song has 3 verses to it. So every component, every brand has the key song, which mine is visibility and influence, and then my verses, which one of it is, it's your birthright to shine bright and stand in your spotlight. It's supporting the song. So that, in other words, it's philosophies. But what I want to say around that is, from the philosophies, you have to support it with tangibles. Tangibles is what makes a real business thrive. Philosophy.
So can you give an example of that?
Yeah. So
give an example of a philosophy and then a tangible.
Sure. So a philosophy is it's your birthright to shine bright and stand in your spotlight. That's a philosophy. A tangible is. A tangible would be a marketing campaign, for instance. That's a tangible. Or it's a system, or it's a program that you're selling, that you're helping people to step by step to show them, for instance, how to become, the chicest master show host, like Heather. Right? Yeah. So that's a program, right? That's a program, right? And you're literally you're showing them step by step. This is how you do it. You want to do blab, and this is how you work blab. Those are tangibles. Those are business.
I'll get on that as soon as I figure out blab. As soon as I figure out blab, I'll get right on.
Me too. As soon as I figure out blab. But those are tangibles, and there's a big difference between philosophies, selling philosophies, where I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing, and selling tangibles. Philosophies just support the brand and the tangibles.
Yeah, I think that some people talk about that in terms of platform.
Yeah.
And platform and selling.
Yes.
Right? And you have to have both. You have to have both. You can't, if you don't have a platform, people don't know, you're not as influential, right? If you don't have a point of view, you don't have your song, right? People don't identify you with that. But if you don't have the systems and the marketing plans, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to make any money.
Or the teachable tools or techniques, or what you're going to give people. Right. So the idea of being a coach and consultant and just talking at people once a week, that's over. Those days are way behind us. Because there was a time when that was really popular. Right now, but there's that caused a lot of distrust in the marketplace. It was like, God, I paid a lot of money, and that person just talked to me, and if I knew how to do it, I would be doing it. Deliverables of real tangibles, like for me, I deliver a hardcore marketing campaign, like literally in their hands. I'm like, here, and on top of it, I'll do a lot of lifting with them. Right? This is how they elevate. And they're like, oh, now I know how to do it. And I'm like, yeah, because if we already knew how, why we need it? These old business techniques of the upselling and the just talking at people and just sharing endless philosophies, and there's no tangibles behind it. In my opinion, I believe that caused a lot of distrust in the marketplace. And so people like you and I and many, many others out there, we're trying to rebuild trust right now and saying, we're not just going to talk at you. We promise you we're experts. We promise you that we're going to give you real tangibles, and that we're going to help you elevate in the marketplace.
So how do you balance that with moving someone through a funnel though, right? Like there's still the whole marketing thing of showing like I'm a big believer that you give and then
Hmm.
ask, right? And that you show value, you be a contributor, you sing your song,
Yeah.
but then you open the door for people to come in and
Hmm.
partake of the feast that you have to feed them.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that of not doing upsells, not doing pitch fests at your live events, but still moving people through a profitable funnel?
Well, giving them value, like
Yes,
you know the my biggest testimonial is how well my clients are doing.
sure.
So I don't have to upsell and I don't have to pitch because they're talking about me and
Hmm.
for me all the time, and I'm not prompting them to do this.
No, no, no. I just meant moving them through like an ups. I
Well,
always think of an upsell as the next logical
right.
thing to do in a progression, right? You've done your marketing message, and then maybe you need to do a social media campaign, like
Yeah.
whatever the order is that you're doing things in.
Yeah, well, I have divisions.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so and my system has five moving parts, but I also have divisions. So there's the marketing campaign, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then I do a Hollywood pitch. Like how we pitch in
Mm,
Hollywood is a very unique system and how we do it, and it's all like it's cool. It's
cool. Yeah.
one of the best things
Does
I've
that
seen in
translate
Hollywood.
for entrepreneurs as well? The Hollywood pitch to the
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. I teach all the entrepreneurs how to pitch.
got it.
and
Cool.
and how to do it in storytelling. And then the next step is I have a division, and it's around virtual magazines, so taking all the marketing content and real value.
Got it.
And then I do customized video trailers now.
Oh, cool.
And now I have a speaker division,
Mm,
is to teach people how to tell stories,
mm,
storytelling.
mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to upsell, because it's all organic,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's of course they come back and they're like, now what? What's next? What else? What else can I? How else? Because they're getting results.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to talk about it, that it's that there's an organic flow, that they're
Hmm.
satiated in one way, and then the next, it's like you eat breakfast. Okay, what's for this is the way my mind works. Okay, I finish breakfast and I'm like, what's for lunch,
Me
right?
too.
Right.
Me too. Yeah.
So, but it's more
I think
organic.
every woman on the planet thinks like that. We're like can't wait.
I
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
but I think instead of having it be like, that, smoke and mirrors pull the rug out from underneath you, that it's this meal
Yeah.
is finished. Okay, what's next? What's the next logical thing? And I love you. You've shown me value. So let's move together to the next thing.
Absolutely, because it's integrity based. See, the other thing is what I call empty calories.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It tastes really good when they're having it, but no one should be eating McDonald's. And I will say that statement as often as I can. It's really not good for you, as we both know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so we want to get away from empty calories.
What's an empty calorie in a business model?
Just slicing it out in these little pieces of gem, like this little gem, and just going, okay, well, I can't give you more until you buy the next piece. See,
Mm-hmm.
because the results, it's a very stop and go business model.
Mm-hmm.
So then people are like waiting there going, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? And I'm like, well, because you can't just eat a morsel of empty calorie and think it's going to work. It doesn't work like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need big pieces of chunks to be deliverables, tangibles to be given to you, and that you
Mm-hmm.
get results. Then they step into the next vessel. They get all comfy in it. Now they're like, God, I love all these love notes. I'm comfortable. It's not uncomfortable anymore. Now what? And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, virtual magazine. Okay, customized trailer. Okay. And it goes on and on and on.
So do you do a virtual magazine for each of your clients, or
Yeah,
how does that, how does
as we go through, as I go through the first program, which is the marketing, the song versus marketing pit, how to pitch Hollywood style. It's five. There's
Mhm,
five moving parts to the first program.
mhm.
Then it's awesome, right? Because we've been working on the marketing campaign. They've got all nestled in their song and verses, and they're like, and I'm like, let's do virtual magazine. And they're like, heck yeah. And I'm like, how about if we put you on the cover? Sister, when I started with them, they would have said absolutely not. right? Because that'd be too
Sure.
visible, right? And now they're
Mhm.
like, they're in forward motion. They're like, yeah, all right, cool. I should be on the cover. And I'm like, yeah, it's part, it's part of taking your clientele and getting
Mhm.
them ready for the next field and the next field and the next field, but not doing it in a way where it's just like I have all these secrets and you're going to pay for them. I heard something last year that broke my heart, and this is really why I got so into visibility influence. So out of disappointments comes greatness, right? I had
Mhm.
someone tell me that there's a program that they were paying for the person to give them influence and introduce them to people. And I
Mm.
said, I said, what? That doesn't make any
Mm.
sense. I said, I said, listen, and this is the truth. I've had dinner with Will Smith, literally, right? Because I was on tour with him and stuff. I
Mhm.
said, but it doesn't mean that Will Smith invited me over for Thanksgiving to his home.
Mhm.
Influence is earned through
Yep.
expertise and through value. People can make introductions all day long, but I was like, this is out of integrity to charge
Mhm.
money to say you're going to make introductions. I'm not saying that
And also,
person knows that it's out of integrity. I'm not saying that they think that. That's not what I'm saying. Because I don't think that they do, honestly. I'm just saying from my background, I I was just like, that's not gonna work.
but also it's not going to work because that person is not infused with their own personal power and their own confidence. It's like outsourcing your personal power to somebody else. And if a coach is going to help that person, if I was coaching that person, I would help them take ownership of who they are and their confidence and their value and how to speak, you know what I mean? And to maybe guide them on a strategy of
Yeah.
where people might be,
You would
but you
introduce
have
them anyways. That's the whole point. Like the
right.
reason I've been building my influence is I'm
Mhm.
actually it's based on being a virtual studio. It's just like the studio gave me billions of dollars worth of influence. They're here, Joey. We love you, right? Here's a bunch of
Mhm.
influence. You make a call, let me tell you, that call's gonna get returned, right? Now, now I'm building my own influence so I can give it. That's what I want to do. I
Mhm.
want to make the introductions. I want to bring everyone into a room. I want them to meet
Mhm.
each other. That's the point,
Mhm.
you know?
So where does this come personally for you, Joey? Where does this passion come from?
I I had a few really close friends when I came back to the Bay Area. I say I was in a bubble. I didn't know about any of this coaching consulting thing at all. I was
Mhm.
in a
Mhm.
bubble. And when I came back, I started watching the business models, and upsell was huge in California already.
Mhm.
And I started going to event after event because I wanted to learn. And I was like, oh, I get it. This is a it's a trick. And
Mhm.
essentially it's a trick. Okay. And then I had some very close friends of mine tell me that they might have to close their doors to their
Mhm.
business. And I got very sad. And I think that this triggered me for old stories of of connecting it to the loss that I went through for so many years.
Mhm.
And then having mentors come and try surround me, give me all their expertise, my aha, so I can stand on the cliffs of Hawaii and release the sorrow. And I started soaring again.
Mhm.
And I correlated the two. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to give my expertise in hopes that people will have an aha so that that they they're not in sorrow, and they don't have to close their doors, and their dreams and their fruitions don't go dark.
Mhm.
And this is how I correlate. I was like, all right, I'll teach visibility and influence, and I'll take all these strategies and these techniques, and I'll put them out there so people realize that it's in direct alignment, that people can't they the studio's handed me influence. But sister, when I left the studio, I had no influence.
Mhm.
I was leaning on it.
Mhm.
And I started seeing the same for entrepreneurs. was like, oh, okay, yes, this is why why it's so important, because I want people to know, don't lean on other people's influence. Create your own. And that's how things are going to thrive. Now, and then create the community, be part of the tribe, and then you together, everyone will soar higher and higher. Because I don't want people's doors to close, Heather. I don't want our dreams not to thrive, because we've all been disappointed at one point in our life or another, right? All of us.
Yeah. Right.
And if we could help each other not to feel that disappointment again, this is why I'm so passionate about it now.
Wow. I think that's really powerful. And when we were just talking about don't promote after the event because the emotion is not the same. I'm really feeling you right now, so I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we have Andre and Stephen, all these people here to experience that, because that's really powerful. And that's why, Joey, people are so drawn to you. And I really want to acknowledge you for sharing your heart and, your sorrow and your journey of learning, sometimes, the hard way and sometimes the fun way of what's important and why it's important, and showing up as the expert so other people can also have that realization for themselves. So I really want to thank you for sharing all that wisdom. And if somebody wants to buy your book, wants to know more about you or how to get more visibility and influence from you, where can they find out?
So the book's on Amazon. It's called The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence. And they can also find me at the number 113branding.com. And then I also encourage people to join my Facebook group. It's Branding for Professional Business Women, and I let men in there too, so it's all good. And right now we're at 6,700 members right now. And I built it specifically as a stage platform for people to be sharing their events, products, services, blogs, articles. Like, it's a spotlight.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm in that group too, so I'm really excited. I met some really cool people there too, so that's been really fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you in September, Heather. Looking forward
to it. I'm really excited.
I know, I can't wait.
So I'm really excited. Before we go, I always ask, in this moment, because we're communing together, what are you most grateful for?
I'm most grateful for all the support, encouragement, and love. It's beyond anything I could have ever imagined for myself. And I'm very, very, very grateful to everyone out there, who are always just showing up in such a big way for me, even when I need my second wind, or when I'm having my highs in celebrating alongside me.
I love it. Well, I'm really grateful for you, and I'm grateful that you're part of my community and my tribe, and that I feel like we have this common bond, and each doing it in our own way, but really going for the bigger truth. So I really am grateful for that, and really thank you for coming on and sharing all this wisdom with me and with my community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you, sister.
I appreciate you too. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, Joey.
Bye, love. I love your tag, by the way. It's so cool.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Thrive. I loved having you here. I love having you as part of my community. And if you're enjoying the show, I would love it if you share it with your friends on Twitter, on Facebook, or wherever they're hanging out. I also want to let you know you can leave me feedback or comments. I love hearing from you. Just post those at heatherpoduska.com. You can also leave suggestions for topics that you'd like to know more about, or if there's someone you'd really like to see on the show, let me know that as well. Okay, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye.